This tutorial video demonstrates how to use the Howell dataset to produce visualizations in Tableau. The data actually comes from a researcher at UC Berkeley. Professor Howell measured the people in Botswana from 1967 to 69. And the statistics she collected was their height, weight, age, and gender. So we have these statistics, and the relationship we like to visualize maybe the age and the height and produce a scatter plot with these two relationships. Let's go to Tableau and do this exercise. So first I have to get the data. I'm going to connect to the text file. The data is how, and it just reflects back what the spreadsheet has. Let's go to sheet 1. We could drag the height and the age as the row, maybe as the column, and drag the height as the rows. You only see one dot because we don't have in each individual observation. We need to get the observation by dragging the ID into detail. And now we have this scatter plot. For most scatter plots, I like to change the circle to be filled. So you open up shape and do the solid circle. You can also change the size. This seems a little too big, so we can decrease the size of the dots. And of course, you can change the color and so on. The relationship is actually very intuitive. As the person gets older, they get taller, so height is increasing. So age is the variable that's leading to us this outcome height. We could color this by the gender. So we could drag this variable and drag it on top of color. So now we see the male and female individuals in this data set. Another thing we could do is we could actually see if there's a difference between in the relationship as the age goes up to, let's say, 20 years old. So you can do a filter. So we can filter by dragging the age into filter and next. And we can filter anyone who's over 20 years old by typing in 20 here as the upper bound. And this looks like a very highly correlated relationship. As age increases, the height is definitely increasing. Finally, how do we produce the trend line? We go to analytics, drag the trend line, and move your mouse and drag it and drop it onto the linear trend line. So this is the linear trend line. You could see the statistics for this regression by right-clicking on it and saying, describe the trend line. And so you have some statistics. The p-value is very low, and the equation looks like this. If you want even more details, we could right-click on the line and say, describe the trend model. Now you can even get the R-square value. So the R-square is a value in here, which is 0.904, which is a very high R-square. Now let's do this regression line for the adults. So we could go from age 20 to, let's say, 100 and apply. The regression line looks like this. I don't think the relationship is highly correlated, and the model doesn't represent an increase, a relationship. So let's redo this. P is less than 0.05. R squared is 0.017. And yeah, so that in general tells us this is not a very strong relationship. And the visually it's pretty flat. There's no like 45-degree slope. Okay. One last thing about regressions is that it allows us to predict any new individual as long as we have the age. If they're under 20, we'll make a very accurate prediction about their height. If they're over the age of 20, probably not. We cannot make a good guess about their height because the model isn't as useful. We could show this filter and let the user control this themselves. So when you publish this, the end user will be able to control these. You can show another filter if you go back to data and drag this into filter and say, okay, you could show filter and say, I only want, these are the, I believe, males, or you can make it only females. One thing we might want to change is some of these data types. So male, female, I will actually move it into the dimension by dragging it up and setting it to a string. For the age, we could leave it here. And these are age, height, and weight are continuous measures. So we leave it there. The ID is not necessarily a number, it should be a string as well. Okay. So that's pretty much it for the regression. Just to finish up, we're going to show the gender as a filter by going here. And then you can check both if you like, but you can also let the end user by showing this filter. Oh, interesting. Let's hide this for now. You can remove this. I think I have too many filters turned on. We can remove this as well. And just, you can do a shortcut and say, show filter this way. So now they're checkboxes, and you can even make them radio buttons if you like. Yeah. It's the same idea. Okay, I'll stop here. That's how you do scatter plots with regression trend lines for this data set.